All right. Good morning once again. So
Good morning, sir.
this is Digital Z Hub, an online tech training platform. We offer training on different computer programs such as cybersecurity, data analytics, web development, Python coding, graphic design, digital marketing, and so on. So this is web development section. Um, we have designed this form in our last class, and I did mention or define that a form is like an application that we program to collect users' inputs within a website. So if you look at this form now, we have programmed that this form is expected to collect the following information from the users: the first name, the middle name, the last name, the dates, the gender, the states, their educational background, email, telephone, and then upload their picture before clicking on submitting. So looking at the form appearance, this is not a beautiful form. So what we want to do is to focus on using CSS to modify the appearance of this form to make it look presentable and users friendly. So let's start from the code structure, that is the HTML structure itself, because I've once told us that anytime you want to style, you need to understand how you are going to select those elements. Remember, we talked about element selection by their actual tags name and element selection with their class name, that is the one you assign class, and then element selection with ID, the ones you have also assigned IDs. So we need to also have a way of uh, prioritizing the structure of our code. Now, if you look at this code, you will agree with me that the first element is the form, and then we have div wrapping the label and the input. So that is exactly what we have. So I'm going to start with styling the form itself before we proceed to probably input or the label. Now, my form is not class, neither what ID. So I am going to reference it with its tag name form. So I don't know if I've created a CSS. No. So let's work with internal CSS addition, where you wrap all your CSS in a style tag within the head section. So like I said, I'm starting with the form. So the form is not a class element. So I'll simply say form and then open my CSS declaration block. Now, looking at the front end of this form, if I add a border line so that I will know the current width and the current height of this form, let's just do that. So I'll just say border. Let's say the border line is going to be 1 ps thickness, and the type of line will be solid. And then let's just give it a blue color just for us to be able to know the length. So you can see that the form is currently taking 100% width, of which I may not want it to be like this. I may just want half of it. Probably I have another content I want to publish within this other side on the same line. So we're going to start with how to reduce the form width, either how to reduce it or how to increase it. So to work on the form width, let's use width property. Width property, so I could just say it should give us the 50% of the current width, which means that 100 divided by 2. So you can see that with this, we have been able to reduce the form width. So the next element we want to style, we are still on the form. Let's add some global property. So let's say for this particular form, any element that is inside it that did not have its direct styling should use the size of what is in the parent element. That is, if you have anything text, just like the way we have label, the way we have, let me just use label. If I don't want to call label and style it individually, in as much I am adding the property in its parent element form, it will inherit it pending on when I am going to speak to that label as an individual. So if I say, okay, the size should be 18 PS, and then I go back to the front end, you can see that all these are now what? 18 PS. So I will also want to define certain fonts family. That is font style. So let's say font family. I want to use cursive. So let's check the front end. You can see that what all the label and all the write-up have changed because I am talking to their parents. So until I can decide not to speak to them individually, in other words, I'm settling for them getting their style when it comes to the fonts. Probably if I also add color there from the parent. I hope you are getting this logic.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I can decide to put color also in the parent element. Say, okay, this color. So depending on when I will speak to them, now they are using the parent color. Now, the next thing is we look at this input, you find out that this input, they are not properly styled. You can see that they are almost touching each other. This box, in fact, outside that, if I type something inside it, you see that the letter is almost touching the borderline. So we need to give some space. We need to give some space between the content inside the input box and the input boxes themselves. There should be reasonable space between them on the outside and even on the inside. And I've once taught us before that when you want to create space between an element, between the contents and the border or the box that is in, you have to talk about padding. When you want to create space between one element and the other element, that is margin. So based on that, there's something I want us to quickly look at. All these were created by one tag, input, input, input. Then here, the same input, but we use different type. This is what I'm saying. We created this with input tag, but the type attribute is text. We also created this with input tag, but also with the start type attribute text. Then this input type attribute text. Then here, the same input tag, but the type attribute is date. So which means that if I decide to go this way, if I decide to come here and say input, if I say input, and if I say input, and I say width, let's say, for example, 100%. So there's a logic I'm going to teach us. And for us to know what we are trying to avoid or what we'll be avoiding with that logic, I'm deliberately making this mistake so that you know why we are going for that logic. So you see what has happened? Just because I call input, whether it is date type, whether it is text type, whether it is radio type, it stretches everything what 100%. So I want to talk to them individually. I want to use their type attribute to talk to them so that the ones we test, they are the only one that I may probably want to stretch their width to occupy the entire form, which is the 100%. So how do you communicate that? That will not take us to input selection method. How, instead of me calling just input, that will affect all. So I will use input selection method using their attributes, So let's say input selection using their attribute. So when I say using their attributes, I'm talking about those tests type attributes. So let me show you. This is what I'm talking about. Like here now, if I want to select this input, I'm going to use where is equals to test to select it, equals to test to select it, equals to test to select it. Then when I come here, I'll say input equals to date to select it, input equals to radio to select it. So we're going to use their type attributes to select them and style them differently. I hope that is clear, sir. Did you understand that? Okay, so I assume you are hearing me. You are muted actually. So the logic is this. We are going to say input, then use the selection bracket. You now say tests. Sorry, type equals to, let me talk to the one with input type test first, equals to this, and then before you open the CSS block. So now if I say width to this set that I've selected, let's say 100%, and I go back to the front end, you will notice that what only those ones, the one with type test, they are the one affected. 1, 2, 3. Every other one, their type attributes are not what? Test. I hope you are getting it. You kindly unmute yourself and respond.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So now we are having an issue. What we have here is what we call overflow. Overflow, which means that a child growing beyond its parent. So how do we contain the child to be within the parent element? So we are going to add a property called what? Box sizing, and then we will say what? Border box. So by the time I go back, I have automatically what? Contains. So what I've said is that no child element should grow beyond its parent. Now, if I also discover that these are too closer to the borderline of the form, so I will reduce it from 100% to like 90, maybe 98%. I just want to have some space in between in order to even, I can even say, let's say 96%, just to have reasonable space to display those compulsory icons. So another thing again I want to achieve here, you discover that what the boxes do not really have allowance between their content. So I will add padding. I will add padding. I will add padding. Padding, I will say, okay, I just want to specify two side padding. So I will say, okay, the first side should be 12 PS, then the other side should be like 14 PS. Or I can as well give all of them the same. So if I go back, you can see that there is now what? Reasonable allowance. So I think this could be too much. Let me just give all of them the same value and see how it look like before we proceed. Okay, I think I'm okay with it like this. So the next thing I want to add, but before that, I will ask you to quickly do this for the next 5 minutes. Just try and update your form styling to this. I'm going to leave the CSS parties section on the screen, just to allow you to quickly update your own to where I am so that I can proceed from there. You can start now. How far? Are you on it? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you share your screen? Let me see what you have. Please kindly share your screen. Let me see what you have. Okay, it's coming. Let me see the front end. Okay, you are still on it. Okay. Okay, let me just continue. Take your time to attend to that later.
Okay, so now another thing I want to do is that I want to move the entire form to the center of the page. So let's assume that this is the only item I want to have on this particular page. All right, so like I was saying, I want to move the form to the center of the page. So which means floating. Now, the form is a block element. The form itself is a block element. But those other properties inside, they are inline elements. But thank God that those properties are inside the block element. So we can use floats only has left and right. So let me demonstrate it so that you know what I'm talking about. So if I come here now, I'm talking about the form. So this is where I'm adding it. So if I say float, float is a property that we use to move item from the left to the right, right to the left. So if I select right now, the entire form will move to the right-hand side. But the challenge is, how do I place it at the middle? Now, since the form itself is a block element, you can use a logic because float does not have center. Float only has left or right. So if I want to move it to the center, I will use a technique. So I will just say what? Margin. I will just say margin and I will give it what? Auto, in as much is a block element. So if I check now, you see that what? I have been able to move it to the middle of the page. So now the next thing is for us to add margin, just like the way we added padding, because it is the margin that is still making this to touch this line. We need some space here. We need some space here. So we need to add margin, that is to the input section, that particular input type that we selected. So remember, I have told us that margin is the space on the outside between one element and the other element. So let me just try margin of 10 PS and see what I'm going to get. Good. So you can see that now there's now what? Reasonable space. So I can decide to leave it like this. Then the next thing I want to achieve is that just to make the input look more presentable, I want the corners to be rounded. So that is, I want to add to this same selector border radius, part of the CSF party we have discussed before. Border radius. So I'll just give a radius of 10 PS and see how it comes out. Okay, perfect. So I just want it like this. Now remember that our target is to give users a good experience. We want a form that ordinarily want to attract them to want to fill it. That is the essence of all this decoration. Now, I'm still having issue of space. You can see that at some point, this particular icon is being forced to go to the next line. And even all these, I want them probably, if possible, to be in front of, not under their label. So what is causing that is that very place where we said the width of the input should be 96. So let me make it 90. Let me make it 90 so that we can have, okay, so this is still better. Now, the next thing I want to do is, I feel this label font size is too big. So let me reduce it a little. So I think where I gave the font size was in the parent element. So let me comment this out and see if the default size is still better. Okay. So let's say use this like this first. So looking at the form, you now see other things you want to work on. So the next thing I want to do is that the inside color of these boxes, the input, I want them to be colored. Let's say I am asked to give them color because right now they are having white background color. So what I'm going to do, since I've selected this particular set, so I will also pass in background color inside that particular selector. So I can say, okay, I want a kind of color. So I will just select this color first and see how it look like. Okay, so I want it to be like this because your color must be unique. So now that you have switched the background from white to this, there's every possibility that the black can no longer go. That is the black input, that is the text itself. So I will need to also update the text by adding color. Color is for styling the text color. White background is for styling the background. So I will say this one should be white. I believe white will go better with the current background. So let's type inside and see. So you can see it now. Then I also want to enhance the size of the text that I will be imputing or the users will be imputing. So I will also pass in font size here. So which means that at this point, it will no longer use the parent's font size because we are directly attaching its own. So I will say, let's use 18 PS, 18, 19, 20. They are the average font size for displaying text on smaller devices like mobile phones. So let me check what I have. So if I type for spanner, okay, I think that is reasonable. So now I want to also add some hover effect. When they hover on this, I want the background to change to maybe black and the text will still remain white. Remember, we have talked about hover effect before. Now, since I'm adding hover effect, like I have told us, the hover effect should not or cannot be added to the actual appearance. So you have to copy the whole of this and then create another selector. But the only thing we will add color here and then we will add hover. I believe you still understand this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now I will just change one or two things. So here, in fact, the hover effect, I don't need all this padding, whatever to change. So let me just clear all this. The width should remain the actual, and the background is what I want to change. So the background color should change to black on hover, and then the text color on hover should change to maybe something like this. So let's go and check now. So if anybody hover on this, let's say he or she have typed, so we can see it. On hover, this is what we get. This is what we get. So I still feel that we can do something better here. Under the input tag, we can reduce our padding. We can reduce our padding to 10. We can read to 10. Okay, all right. So now the next thing I want to look at is this particular form. I want a kind of heading. I want the kind of heading that says somewhere here, this is contact form. This is contact form. So that as they get to the page where the form is, they know what the form is created for. So how do I communicate that? I have to go and restructure my code to add two different tags. So let me go to the HTML section. So immediately after the form, I need a grouping element, an element that will group everything, and then I will attach the title as a capture to it. So that element is called field sets. Field sets. Now we are supposed to wrap all these things inside it. That is by hierarchy. Once you have created your form tag, You create it, then you create all these things inside it. But since we have created it before doing this, I will just cut the closing section of this and then go to where I have the last element before the closing of the form and paste it. So which means that I have achieved it. If I go back, you see another line. So I'm going to turn off the border line we gave to the form. You know, we gave that border line in order for us to know the length and the width of our form the other time. So I will just silence it for now. So I don't need it because the fuse set itself has activated border. So that I will not have two of them. Now, this is what the fuse set generated. So the fuse set is a tag that is used to group odd form elements. And that is what it's doing. So the next thing I want to achieve is I want to tag at the top here, registration form or contact form. And that will now take us back to the code structure. Immediately where you have the fuse set, add what we call legend. Legend is a tag that is used to title or to give description to the fuse set or to the entire form. So I will say this is a simple contact form, for instance. So if I go back to the front end, you see that what we have been able to what to give our form a description. So whoever that is filling it now understand that, oh, this is what a simple contact form. Now, after this, the next thing, just to make the form look more presentable, I want this particular information to come to the center of this section. So that means that we are going to speak to the fuse sets now. Sorry, the legend. We are going to speak to the legend. So while I'm still in my CSS, I'll just simply say styling the legend, styling the legend, styling the legend. So styling the legend. So I will say legend because it's not classed. I hope you are still following, sir.
Yes, sir.
You are still following, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so styling the legend. So I will say, what do I want? Align test. Sorry, test align. Test align. I'll choose center. So let's go and check. Perfect. Now I also want to, though it's okay like this, but I just feel that let me compare that. Let me slant it first. If it's not okay, I can always go back. So let's say font style, italic. Let's check the appearance of this. So if you feel slanting it like this is better, fine, or you leave it in order to correspond with others, fine. So it's your choice. So let me take it out first. All right, so now the next thing I want to do is this particular line. I want its color to change as well to this blue color. I want everything to be simple and unique. So that is fuse sets so that we can also learn how to style the fuse sets. Styling the fuse sets. So the fuse set was not a class, so we are going to call it with its name. Fuse set. What did I say we want to achieve? Border color. So I'll say border. The type of line should be solid and the color should be blue. The color should be blue. So let's check what we have there. So perfect. Perfect. So let's say I did not specify the thickness. So it gave us only the line type and this. So I will say the thickness should be 1 ps so that it doesn't calculate it itself. Okay, so I have a moderate line. All right, so now we are still looking at the form and see what we can still add. And remember that at this point, we are speaking to only the input tag with the type text. So we are still coming to talk to others. Okay, so for now, I'm leaving this one like this. We have styled the width, we have styled the padding, the margin, and then, of course, the which other thing again? Okay, if I want to make all this to be red to show that we are composing inputs, the user must fill them. Let's go back to our code structure and know how we capture them. I think they are span tags. So I will just go to my CSS and say styling the span tag. So since they are not class, I will just say span. So I will just use color to change them to red. Color, I will just say red. So let's check. Perfect. All the place we have them. Good. Now, I want to now talk to another set of inputs. Let's say I want to talk to the input with the type dates. So I'm going to combine them together. The one with type dates, the one with type, the one with select. I think this is select email 10. I'm going to group them together and talk to them at once. So the way I'm going to do that, because I would like their length to be the same. So the way I'm going to do that is this. So I'll say styling the other input element. So using that specific selection technique, I will say input select, I'll start with type equals to dates. Then you now come outside and put comma. You do again input select type equals to email. So you come outside, comma again, input type equals to input type equals to type. Let me check here. Type, we have selected date. Type, this is not input. I'll talk to this one separately. Because they are radio button, I don't want to talk to them. Email, okay, password, we have type password. We have type number. So let's just add the two of them. Type password. Then you can break them on like this. You can break them if you want your code to look more organized. You can break them like this. Then comma. The next one is input. Type number equals to number. And then another one is there, which is a file, the one for picture. Input type equals to file. Remember, we use file. Now, after the last one, if you want to capture the select, you put comma again. You now also say select. Remember select. Then before you now add the CSS brackets. So which means that any CSS property you declare here now will affect all the selected input. So I want to define their width separately. So their width should not be 100%. their width should be, let me give them 50%. So let's go there and check if we are making impact. Good. So you can see they are all affected. Now, I also want to add padding. Padding of, let's say, 10 PS. So let's also go and check. Good. So everything is falling in place. Now I want to add margin so that there could be space between the elements from the outside. So, and the margin should be general margin, and I'm giving them a 10 PS margin. So let's check also. Okay, so this is no longer touching this. So I also want to add border radius to them, just to make them look almost the same thing with the other one, but different width. So border radius, let's see, border radius of 10. That was what we did to the other one. So let's check. Okay. Now, the background color should be the same. Background color, I just want the form to be unique and very simple. Background color, I'm using the same background, and then the input, that's the color. The color of the text should also go with it. So let's go and check. Okay, so everything is going well. No, the color of the text should be white. Let's give it white. Let's give it white. Sorry. The color of the text should be white. Right. Now, so once we click here, everything here is white. Okay, so we are still looking at the presentation of the form. So you keep styling until the form look beautiful. Okay, so I'll just still looking to know what other things I should add. I would like to repeat the hover. Okay, let me now put hover on this. Now let me talk to all this, the label, because currently they are using their parent property. Now, all this label, I'm going to use the div to speak to them because they are all wrapped in the div. If you look at the code structure, everything, both the input and this, they are in the div, and we have spoken to the input. So, which means that if I'm talking to this div, this one already have its own word style. This one does not. We have not called label anywhere and since so color. So, which means that if I talk to div, all the label that are in all the div we take the style. So let's quickly do that. So let's use comment styling. Styling with the ivies. So I'll simply say div. I will say font size, because I'm referring to the label, should be 12 PS. The color should be blue. And I can go back there and select maybe light blue. So let's check what we have. Okay, so you can see that everything is placed properly now, but it's as if the text size is too small. So let me take it back to something, let's say 18, 18, I think. Let me try 16. I don't like when the write-ups are too big. Some people don't like reading text that are too big. Okay, on the average, let me leave it at 16. All right, so now the next thing I want us to style the width of the form. Let me see if I can tamper with it a little. So the width, let me make the width 40%. Okay, I think this is also good. Now, I just feel that, okay, let us finish the form first, because I would like to use a kind of page background that have some images communicating the service that we offer, so that while they are filling this form, instead of them having just white background, there is a creative image that speaks as service that will be there. But let's just finish the form styling. So the next item I want to talk to is the buttons. The buttons. Now, if you go to the code section, you will notice that we actually envelop those buttons in a different div. But remember, yeah, and the div was class buttons. Was class button. So let me use that one to talk to. I will use the class to talk to all this. So I'll say, I hope you are still with me. Styling.
Yes.
Styling the div with the button. Styling the div with the button. All right. So now I'll use the class name dot buttons. So I'm talking to the container first. So I will say the width of that container, because currently div is taking 100% width. I'll start by reducing the width to 40% first, so that I can float it to the middle. So if I add border now, so that you know that we have actually reduced the width. Let's say border of 1 PS solid and then red, just for you to know that we have actually reduced the width. So let's go there. You can see it now. You can see it. So now it will be easier for us to move it to the center, because initially div is a block element, so it will have been covering the whole, so you cannot push it because there is no space for it to want to go in. So that is why I use that to show us that we have actually reduced it. So I don't need this. I only wanted to show you that we have done something. So now I will now use that margin logic, and then I'll say what, auto, just to move it to the middle. So you can see that what we have been able to move the two buttons to the middle. Now the next thing is for us to talk to the button themselves. So the button themselves, you look at the way they are class or ID. There is no class, they are inputs. So we are going to use that same input selection technique. We say what? Select input equals to reset and what? Submit to get only what? This particular input. I hope you understand what I just explained.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I will say selecting the reset and submit button. So because I want them to have the same appearance, that is why I want to select both of them. If I want them to have different appearance, then what I will do is to probably use different words, select them separately. So I will say input, select type equals to reset. So just like I explained the other time, I will do input, select type equals to submit. There. So what do I want? I want to work on their width. The width should be, let's say, 100 PS. I want to also work on the height. The height should be 50 PS. Okay, so you can see that immediately I assign that, they are now displaying block. So it means that the height, the width is the reason. Let me also reduce the height to like 30. And then the width, let me take the width back to, what should I put it? 40 PS. What was there before? 100, right? Okay. No, that is too small. Let me put it 80. Okay, perfect. This is what I want. Now, I want to add padding. I want to add some padding. Padding, since it's like a landscape or a rectangle, I will say padding of 12 PS by padding of 14 PS so that it will balance. But after adding it, you discover that what? The text moved from the center. So what I'm going to do, let me leave it, let me just use only one value and see how it goes. So that padding is too much. I think that is the reason. Let me put what type. So let me, based on the width and the height, that is why the proportion of the padding is giving us that. So let's say the width and the height are giving us even the padding. So let's not use padding because we are seeing space already around the content. So let me just go straight to the colors. The color, I want it to be white because I'm going to change the background color as well. I am going to change the background color. Then the background color, let me take it to the same, let me use, we have any color red in that form, let's see. But yeah, you can see go, you can see balance, but let's do it. I want that to stand out so you can see balance with this icon. So I want to also add let me see if I can add some margin and see what I'm going to get. Margin of, so that will make it display block. I don't want that. But if that is what you want, you can leave it. Let's say we want to, let me see, because I'm seeing a kind of a border black there. So I'll just say what? Border. I'll say what? None. Let's see whether that will take off. Good. So that I've removed that black. So I want to add probably over effect if you like. But let me talk to the content first. Content, let's say font size of the text. Let's use 18 PS as well. Then I want to make them a little bit obvious. I'll say font weight. So I will use border. So let's check. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. So in fact, let me just remove this particular one to see what I get here. Okay, this is better. So I'll make the case, only the first letter should be capital letter, the rest should be small letter. So how do I communicate that? I'll say text transform. Text transform. Text transform. I'll say capitalize. Right? Okay, so at least our form is looking presentable now. Like I said, I want the background to have a kind of activity that space what we do. So let me quickly go to browser or the internet and get a creative background that probably represents what we do. Now, most time, that kind of background should not be too smart so that it does not overshadow your form. So, but let's go there and see if we can get one. So let's go to Google. So let's say this business is about training. Let's say tech training. So I can say what? Tech training. And then go to images. So let's say I want something like this. I want something like this. So I will just right click, select save image as. Let me direct it to our projects, which is 5 a.m. web development. That should be the folder. So not on desktop. Thought I have it here. Okay, so take it there and then direct it to the image. In fact, we even have a background here before that we can use. This background actually speak, but let me see, add it. Let's say this. Let's say beachy. Now, there is something I wanted us to do, but it's going to take time. So what you do is that, let's see if we'll be able to speak to it on there. So you can actually take it to like CorelDRAW or Photoshop and then reduce the brightness before you bring it. But let's just go and see how we can apply it. So remember that we are going to speak to the body tag. Body tag, body tag. I will say background image, part of what we have learned because we are using an image. Then I will add what? URL so that I can call external entity. I will slash inside to see my project directory and then go to the image, then target that particular one. I think, let me try that B2, the first one, and then let's check what we have. Okay, I think this is still beautiful. But the only thing is that we don't want it to be repeated. But you can leave it like this, it can form a style. But I don't want to be repeated so that it will not distract the form. And we just want it to be cool like this. So how do I stop the repetition of this? So I will just go back there as part of what we have learned before. I will just say what? Background repeats. I will say what? No repeats. So I'll go and check. So everything I have, fall back to 1. So now to allow that one image to cover the entire screen, I will add another property called background size. I will say cover. So let's go and check. Okay. Now I want to station the background. I don't want the background to move each time I scroll the form. So that will now take us to adding another property, which is background attachment. Hope I have it here. Background attachment, I will simply say fixed. If I go back each time I scroll, I have the image stable and other content scrolling. All right, so I can leave it like this. It's a very cool one. But if I add opacity, let's try that and see what is going to happen to this. If I add opacity to this image, except where I use the, probably I created a container, and then I now use image to fill the container. But this time around, this body. But let's just say we want to add opacity of 0.1 just to reduce the brightness. So you can see what it does. It affected everything because all of them, they are in the body. So any question? So I'll leave it like this. Leave it like this. Any question?
Yes, sir.
Do you have question?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay, so there's no question. Now your assignment is to go
You
and
said
study your
yes,
form.
I have a question.
You said you have question.
Yes.
So what is your question?
So can you please go back to the
To the code. Okay.
yeah.
Just give me one.
So I was trying to ask all these forward
Just give me.
slash. Okay.
Okay, sorry. What was your question, sir? Sorry.
Okay. Can you take
What?
it up a little? Because I haven't really done it.
Sorry.
Take it up a little.
Okay, to the code set to the HTML. Okay.
No, the styling.
Okay, the style. Okay.
Yeah, the styling. Yeah. So what I'm trying to ask is this forward slash, the forward slash, then style. So what you are writing here, is it applicable to the styling too, or is just an explanation? Yes,
This one. This one.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
comments now. This is comments.
Okay.
These are comments which are not executable.
Okay.
Remember, I've explained comment before. It's just for me to know what I'm doing.
Yes. But sometimes the styling, you say dot, the thing, then to hand. So I was just asking.
That dot is to say that that element you are talking to was classed.
Yeah.
I hope it's clear.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right. So, like I said, your assignment, go and style your form, then create another form. You can think of another form so that you can get, now create another, style that particular one you showed me, probably give it different appearance or you
I'm
target
trying to
this one.
style that.
Eh?
If I can even share my screen, the one I did already, aside from that one we did the other day.
Okay.
So
you want to share your screen to show me that one also?
yes.
All right, go ahead. This is the one we did last time.
Yes, this is our own that I'm trying to style now. So this is the one I'm talking about.
Okay. So just make sure that you update all of them. Like this one now,
Yeah,
take it to the
I did.
center.
I did this,
This background
but
should
the
not be
styling
repeated.
the styling I give this was just the background picture. And the background picture duplicated. I remember you talked about how to remove the
Yeah, that's what
duplicates.
I just did now.
Yes. So I couldn't remove it. So if you see the picture was duplicated.
At least now
So
you should be able to remove it from what we have learned now.
yes, so with this, I just hover the effect here. So then that was just all I did. So I didn't really start it much
Yeah.
compared to what you did today. You can see.
Okay. All right. So just go and style them.
All right.
All right.
All
So
right.
see you later in the evening.
Wait first, please. I want to see something.
Okay. Sam?
I want to see something in
Okay, my code.
the Visual Studio. Yes.
Okay, from the code. Yeah.
Yes. Just help me to take it up a little to
Like this.
not yet. Still take it up a little.
Yeah.
I think.
Are you okay here?
No, take it up a little still.
This is where it starts.
This is where we started, yes. So can you take it down a little? Take it down. Okay. Okay.
Are you okay now?
Yes.
All right. Have a nice day.